Hi, this is Cliff Olson with Olson C10 Shop. I can tell you a lot of folks have been making videos and trying to help people understand and guide them through the process of doing LS swaps in their trucks. And I've been doing it a long time. And I pulled out one of my trucks from pretty much storage that I did a LS swap in back in 2004. It's four-wheel drive, and at the time there was pretty much nothing available to do a swap. There weren't very many parts on the market at the time. If you wanted a standalone harness, you had to do it yourself. If you wanted an engine mount, you had to do it yourself. If you wanted things to make the transmission shift right, like a VSS and adapters to convert it into the factory transfer case, you had to make it yourself. So I've since done things, changed things, improved things as things have become available, and I've also left stuff alone because I kind of liked the way I did it back then. It wasn't horrible, and frankly, there's no reason to replace it if there's nothing wrong with it. So with that, I'm going to do something that is getting pretty common now, but some of you may need some help or support figuring out how to do this. So I'm going to walk through it. It's pretty much step by step as I can. I don't work on other people's stuff anymore because frankly, I got a lot to do with my own stuff. So I figured maybe I'd make a video or two here and there and give you guys an opportunity to see kind of in a simple way with tools that you find in a garage and not necessarily things that cost thousands of dollars to do, and try to make it simple. This is a 2004 Avalanche motor. At the time I put this in here, it was brand new, and it's time to make the engine look a little bit better. So with that, I'm going to show you a couple things that are inherently difficult to manage if you're doing a swap. You'll notice the way the water pump pulley lines up with the bottom crankshaft pulley. You'll notice the inlet to the water pump is going to be right in the way of the intake throttle body. The third thing is this embossment on the power steering alternator bracket that gets in the way. And there are hundreds of ways to do this, so don't think that this is the only way to do it. And I'm sure some of you guys will be critical of the fact that you can massage this inlet to make it clear so that you don't have to change the water pump. And you can get aftermarket brackets and things to make this all work better. But that's not what we're going to do today. Mostly because I'm going to do it with all the parts I have on hand, and I'll show you step by step how I do this. So once again, this is 2004 Avalanche 5.3 liter Vortec engine. We're going to be installing a 2002 Camaro water pump and an idler relocation bracket made by Billet Specialties, and a series of modifications to make it all work. This is the LS1 water pump from I just ordered a 2002 Camaro LS1 water pump. First problem. One is, you can see when it's all the way against the block, the pulley doesn't line up. So your belt will never work in this position. So you have a choice. You can change your harmonic balancer pulley, and then all your accessories, your power steering, your alternator, all the brackets that go to it, which can get pretty expensive. Or you can get the proper spacer and move this out about 3/4 of an inch, like that, which then lines up your belt to your pulley, which then gives you the correct alignment to use all of your accessories as they are. Now, there's going to be people that don't want to do that. I get it. This is something I want to drive. It's not going to be really a show car. It's going to be a really nice, clean, close the hood, looks factory until you open the hood and realize, what? It's a LS. Four-wheel drives are a little harder for a multitude of reasons. For this, I chose the Doug Thorley Tri-Y headers and stage 8 lock fasteners. And I did that probably back in like 2010 or so. They sound really good and they work really good, and it doesn't require any messing with. They just bolt on and go. I'm going to go ahead and prep this for the spacers, and then I'll show you the steam port vent also that's on there that you can use if you choose to go that route. But I always tell people, always hook up your steam port, which is in this case this little tube right here. All right, so the LS1 water pump's installed. It has the spacers on it. The spacers are oriented to put the steam port here. So got the intake mating surface all cleaned up, just sprayed it with some WD-40 and wiped it down with a Scott shop towel. Gives you a decent clean surface to put the intake manifold on. So now you can see the pulleys are lined up. This inlet is now clear of the throttle body. Now we have to make our modification for this idler pulley relocation. I'm going to do that with a aftermarket kit. It's just 2 plates of aluminum re-drilled, and then we're going to chop this off right here to make that go away. So I'm going to go ahead and get that off, and then I'll show you the relocator kit. It is gone. Some people get a little freaked out thinking that you're going to be chopping off a piece of a factory bracket, but this is all you're really taking off. And this piece is in the way, as you'll see in a second, of the throttle body. So it really has to come off, or the other option, of course, is to use aftermarket stuff, and to each their own. Everybody likes things different. So I like to try to do things kind of in a way that makes sense and is affordable, and it doesn't get real radically crazy. So you want to make sure you cover up everything really good if you're going to cut it on the engine. It's probably better to take it off. You'll have to take the power steering pulley off, so you have to have a puller for that, and the alternator, and take the bracket off, and then sit it on a bench and cut it. I mean, that's probably the safer way to do it, but if you take some precautions and do a little bit of extra time on the prep side, it'll save you time on the end when you go to cut it off. So we're all clear now, so everything is out of the way. We can go ahead and put the intake manifold on, and I'll show you some of the places where it gets a little tight. So I'm going to try to do this one-handed. We'll see how it works, but let's pull all these out. And again, this is just a shop towel, Scott shop towel. They're pretty good because they don't leave lint and other nonsense behind. So I'm going to spray some WD-40 on the intake to get it to let it move a little bit, because when you put it on, you're not going to nail it perfectly every time. So here we go. So there it is. See the throttle position sensor and the bracket, interfere with each other. So, that's why that has to go away. You'll see that the inlet pipe now is down low, away from the throttle cable. So no worries there. This isn't like a stock factory fuel rail. These are just Summit billet fuel rails. You don't have to put these on. The factory rail will work. I just like these because it keeps it down low. When I put my fancy valve covers on, I always remote mount my coils. I put the coils down in the frame, and I might show you that in another video, just because I like it cleaner. I don't like the clutter of the coils on the valve covers, so I like putting smooth aftermarket valve covers on, and that gets the coils off the valve covers and tucks them down by the motor mount, which is, you know, it's not much longer on the spark plug length wire, but it is a much cleaner look. So let's go ahead and tighten this thing down now. So the intake's on. Went ahead and torqued it to 12 foot-pounds, and essentially you start in the middle and work your way out. There's something else I haven't mentioned yet. These injectors, I believe these are Siemens EV1 injectors. They're factory, you know, would come on a Camaro, let's say, or for example. Your harness isn't going to work with these, so you either need to get an adapter or you need to get your harness modified for them. I prefer the latter just because it's cleaner. Back in the day, I did them myself, and it's a lot of work and a lot of time. And if that's an issue or concern, or it's just technically challenging, there are so many companies out there right now that make harnesses for these and that will do those modifications for you, very little extra cost. I've used several brands, and I've had several problems. I've done many of these swaps, and I can tell you that there's no such thing as perfection in the world of harnesses. So your hope for trouble-free installation and good support if you do have a problem. And there are lots of reviews online. If I were going to make a recommendation, I'm kind of partial to Wayne and Dave out at 150 Tunes in Spokane, Washington, because they'll do kind of whatever you need them to do, and they're not terribly expensive, and they don't make a lot of mistakes, and it turns out pretty clean and pretty nice. And it depends on what you're doing, of course, but they kind of specialize in buggies and rock crawlers and stuff like that. But they'll do anything you want, and honest to goodness, I've plugged in every one of them and I haven't had a problem. So you know, they're not for everyone. If you like your harness stripped and cleaned of all the extra wires, you know, that costs more money to do that. And they make new harnesses now for people that want that, just because it's going to be cleaner in the end. So you get a brand new harness, and then you're buying a license for your ECM. So essentially, if you ever need to retune it based on gear change, cam change, head change, injector change, forced induction change, or anything of that nature, you just send your ECM back to them, tell them what you did, give them all the specifications for it, and they will tune your ECM and send it back to you. Had issues with others, so beware. All our clearances issues are addressed. Our intake manifold is installed. So I'm just going to finish it up, put the pulley on it and the belt, and hopefully everything will work out good and we'll be done. I probably should have mentioned, as I'm putting this bracket on, you know, realize that we're putting a steel bolt into an aluminum head. And if you do that, you're going to want to put some never sees on it, because you don't want the threads galling and the bolt ruining the threads in the head. So I went ahead and put a little bit of never sees on this. I'll smooth it off a little bit so that it's not so messy. Sorry for the focus there. So that'll get us where we need to be with the pulley. And then our pulley goes here. That's it. So now we have the pulley in the correct place. We have all the clearance issues addressed. We have a place to facilitate a steam port if we want it. Down on the spacer, we have the intake manifold installed and torqued right. So now we'll go ahead and put the tensioner on and the belt. All right, so this tensioner is an F-body tensioner. So it's like what you'd find on a Camaro or a car. Matches the water pump. It's about $22 or $23. You're going to need that also for the belt reroute because the truck tensioner does not fit on the LS car style water pump. So that's one little tidbit as well. All right, there it is. So the idler's on, the tensioner's on, the belt's on. This is a different belt. So your Vortec belt will not work on this. An LS1 belt will not work on this. So through some measurements and trial and error, really it's not that hard. Came up with this belt, and it's a Dayco 5060990 belt. Pretty inexpensive. I think they're like $15, $16, something like that. And that's the belt that fits this conversion. So if you're wanting to do like a car style intake on a truck style engine, that's all there is to it. So thanks for joining me. Olson C10 shop. We have lots of fun. It's a great family hobby. It's something that we enjoy. Hopefully you get a chance to spend time with your family that way and do something you love to do. My wife even joins in from time to time, and we usually have a lot of fun. So appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to try to do a better job at that and start posting up some of this stuff that people ask me about all the time, because it explains it far better than I can do that, in a post on Facebook or on a forum. So thanks for watching.